So once again, good morning to all. So today we are going to discuss about the different, different format of sound files. Already, the last class we had a discussion about MP3 and OGG, GSM, and AU and AAFF, all those formats we had a discussion. So the continuation of that, there are some more formats also being available in the market, especially for sound generation. So one of the another format which has been used, from iTunes, which is nothing that AAC, which is nothing that advanced audio coding, which is another format which has been used in the market, which is all based on the MPG4. So that is MP4 audio standard, which has been owned by Dolby. So from there, they have created this particular format, and a copy protected version of this format has been developed by Apple for use of its music download from the iTunes Music Store, which is from the Apple. So they have created this particular format for sound generation. And then another one is like a track. So the older style Sony track format. So where it always has a WAV file as extension. To open these files, simply install a track 3 drivers. So once you install these drivers, then you can go for opening this file and can able to play on it. It is from the Sony company. They have created this particular format for playing the sound and musics. And there is another one, RA, which is another format is being used. So which is called a real audio format, which has been designed for streaming audio over the internet. So it's all about audio over the internet, where that RA format will come into play. So especially for internet audio, they are using this particular RA extension. And another one is RAM, which is all again text file that contains a link to the internet address where the real audio file has been stored. So the .ram file contains no audio data itself. And the DSS, which is nothing but a digital speech standard. So files are an Olympus proprietary format. It is fairly old and poor codec. So again, whenever you're going for, if you're seeing that all the different formats you've been seeing the market, they are using that decoder and decoder format. So that means the data will be coded using specific format, and then it will be converted into decoding. That means because basically we'll be using two different ends for I would say sending and receiving. So that time we need to adapt this codec format. So through that only coder and decoder which will be happening. So the receiving end we need to decode it, and then we have to use on it. So the codec is a standard mechanism has been adapted in the industry for creating the various format. It's not only for audio, even images, video, everything they are using this codec format. And MSV. So MSV, it's all again from the Sony. Also, they have created this particular format. It is mainly for a memory stick compressed voice files. So from the memory stick, if you want to fetch out the audio files, where that MSV format has been adapted. And then DVF, which is again also come from the Sony only. So they have created this particular, format mainly for a compressed, voice files. So this is also come from the Sony only. So they have created this particular, format DVF. Fine. So these are all the various, formats of audio which we had a discussion. Now we are moving to the next major element of this particular, building block, which is nothing but video. So video also has become, the most important aspects where we can able to see a kind of a motion, from that data which you are going to represent on it. So the video where we can incorporate the images as well as even we can incorporate text also, which is very much possible. So we've seen that video is nothing but a technology that captures moving images electronically. So moving images electronically. So those moving images are really just a series of still images that change so fast that it look like the image is moving. Actually, what is happening? It's actually not moving. It's like a stage which has been created. On the stage, we are going to place a set of images, and with the motion, we are getting the kind of effect, feel that the images are being, start moving, but actually it is not moving. It has been still only, still images, but it is giving a kind of illusion to you people. It start moving, and then you feel that something is happening at the behind. So That is what the video, that is a one type of video. Like that, the different kind of videos can be created so in the market using, I would say, application. So in this for video compressions, because the video is the one which is going to have a huge lot of information we can able to store on, because it's a comprise of many mediums, so which include audio, text, then we have that animation, graphics, everything can be incorporated in your video. So that's the reason why the size, if you see that, it has become huge. So where we cannot, would you say, transfer these files directly to the other system. Because of the would you say size, which is in huge, so which will take more time to transfer the data from one system to another system, as well as sometimes it may affect the bandwidth and the network also may slow down. So to avoid that. They have come up with the compression mechanism. So through compressions, we can able to reduce the size of it, so that which can be transfer the data much faster. So where there are two, would say, kind of mechanism which is being adapted in the market. One is called lossy compression, another one is called lossless compression. So lossy compressions means that the compressed file has less data in it than the original file. So in some cases, this is translated to a lower quality files because the information has been lost. Hence the name, it has been given as a lossy compression. So the lossy compressions makes up for the loss in quality by producing comparatively small files. So the main thing is lossy compression, the content will be get lost. And so because of that, the quality is going to be comparatively less than the original quality. And Here how it has been managing, I would say, that quality using that small files, because the size of the file is going to be small. So because of that, I would say, it is giving the enhanced quality of it. So the I would say that data transfer also become much faster compared to that actual transfer, because the size is going to be very small. So for example, if you are keeping that file which may be around, I would say, GBs, that can be converted into in say MBs. Maybe I can give an example. I have a camcorder which I bought it almost, I would say, 12 years back. So during, I would say, that time, we'll be using cassette. You might have seen that the cassette, what do you say, the cassette player, right? So that cassette will be used for, I would say, storing the videos. So whatever it has been captured through a handycam, it will be stored in that. So, but for just, I would say, 10 minutes of video, which will occupy 1 GB size. So just for a 10 minutes video, it will occupy 1 GB, I would say, size. And if you are recording for an hour, which will almost take to, would say, 5 to 6 GB of, would say, size it will be taking it. So it's very huge in size. So, but the quality is really nice. But the problem is the size. Every time when you are recording it, and during that time we have the two record video recorder player. One is like 60 minutes, another one is 90 minutes. So 1 hour and 1.5 hours. So these two only were there in the market in the cassettes. So we have to either purchase 60 or 90, and then we can use it. We can put it inside that camcorder, and then we can start recording it. So, but if you record for 1 hour, at least you need to, would say, have the memory capacity of 5 GB it will occupy. So that's become huge in size. So which is like a Sony one, Sony, I would say, product. And what I've done is I've converted using, what do you say, movie maker. Using movie maker, I put it in movie maker, I converted this particular data, so where the compression has been enabled. So then I converted into, I would say, MPEG format. Once I convert into MPEG format, so the size will become, I would say, drastically it has been get reduced. So that means it is from, I would say, 5 GB to, I got it within, I would say, within, I would say, 800, 900 MB, I can able to get that particular data. So whatever it has been stored in 5 GB, the same
Excuse
thing.
me, sir.
Yes,
Sir, and what about the video quality, sir, when it is compressed?
that's what I'm coming to that point. So the video quality, which is, I would say, reduced. It's not like the quality which I got it from the, I would say, Sony camcorder, because the original, if you start playing with the Sony, I would say, player, there is a Sony player, the software is there. If you start playing on it, the quality has become, I would say, awesome. But when you convert, and then if you start playing it with the other, I would say, players, the quality has been compromised. So that means the quality, exact quality, you won't be getting it. So that is what the lossy compression will come into play. Okay, so the quality has been compromised. So you may not get that original quality, but in terms of size, very small. Just imagine instead of 5 GB, it is going to occupy only 800 MB. So how would it say size has been get compressed? So you can watch it in a normal, would say, mode with the things, but only things when you try to enhance and if you view it in a bigger televisions where you can see that some kind of distorted images you can able to see on it. So that is what the issue when you try to use your, would say, these kind of lossy compression videos. And the second one is lossless compressions. So lossless compression is exactly what it sounds like. So compressions where none of the information is being lost. So this is not nearly as useful because the files often end up being the same size as they were before the compressions. So this may seem pointless as reducing the file size is the primary goal of the compressions. However, the file size is not an issue. Using lossless compression will results in a perfect quality picture. So for example, the video editor transferring the files from one computer to another computer using hard drive might use lossless compression to preserve the quality while transferring it. So when you feel that the data should be, I would say the memory is not an issue, so you can able to transfer on it. So those kind of scenarios where we can go for a lossless compressions. So in this lossless compressions, if it is a 5 GB, maybe it will come up to, I would say 4.5 or 4 GB only it can reduce on it. So more than that we cannot reduce it, but it will be retaining the same quality as how original quality it will be there. So that is what the biggest advantage when you go for lossless compression. Only thing is, if you want that quality to be maintained, you can go with the lossless compressions, where you can at least maybe 10% of the, I would say, uh, data can be get compressed and then you can use on it. But if you loss of data also is fine, that is the case, you can go for a lossy compressions where data will be get lost and the quality in terms of you're compromising it. So that is where that I would say lossy compression will come into play. Only thing is the advantage of using lossy compression, the file size become very smaller. But here the file size is almost same. It is almost going to be a same in lossless compression. Right. So, and again, the next one, the video need to be broadcasted. So whenever video is being created, that need to be get broadcasted through a, would say, a television. So for that, we cannot simply, would say, telecast on it. So there is a broadcast standard which has been created in the market. So these are the standards are being adapted in the market, something like NTSC, PAL, and CKM. So these are the three main standard which is being used all over the world. So mainly for broadcasting the information to the users. So the first one is the NTSC. So NTSC is the nothing that National Television System Committee. National Television System Committee, that has been called as NTSC, which has been created way long back in the year 1953. So where that first color television, I would say, broadcast system was being implemented in the United States in 1953. This was based on the NTSC standard. So the NTSC is used in many countries. It's like American continent as well as many Asian countries, including Japan. So they are using this particular, I would say, NTSC standard for broadcasting the televisions to the would say their countries. So here they are running on 525 lines per frame. So each frame will be containing 525 lines. So that is one of the standard. And second one, which is being called as PAL. So PAL is nothing that a phase altering line. So which is again another standard has been introduced in the earliest 1960s, and it has been implemented in most European countries except for France. The remaining countries, they have implemented this particular, I would say, format and are the standard we can say. So the standard utilizes wider channel bandwidth than NTSC, which allows for better picture quality. So and as well as here, if you seen that instead of 525 lines, here it is 625 lines per frame. So that is what the another say thing when you go for this television broadcasting standard, which is especially used in the European countries. And third one is going to be CKM. So CKM is nothing but sequential color avec memory or sequential color with the memory. So that is, I would say, the expansion of CKM. Again, this standard also has been implemented during the 1960s, and it is mainly used in France. So, and CKM uses the same bandwidth as PAL, but transmit the color information sequentially. So that is the only difference between that, I would say, PAL and CKM. So here that CKM is again the same set of number of lines they are using, 625 lines per frame. But our, I would say, in Asian countries, we are using this NTSC standard. This has been adopted in our Asian countries. We have only 525 lines per frame. Fine. And these are all the next point we'll be discussing. Fine. So these are the various mediums which has been part of your, I would say, um, building blocks of multimedia. So we have seen about image, we have seen about text, we have seen about audio, and we have seen about even video also. So these are the, I would say, four main components of your building blocks. Okay, so the next topic which we are going to discuss is nothing that authoring tools. So when you're going for creating any of the medium using, would say, tools, so either maybe a text, or it may be audio, or it may be a video, or it may be animation, or it may be a graphics. So all these elements, if you want to incorporate into your application, and if you want to go for developing on it, where that authoring tools has been playing a vital role. So that is what we're going to discuss. So how multimedia products are being created and authored. So what kind of multimedia authoring tools you can choose from to suit your project needs, and how various multimedia authoring tools have been working. So this is the objective behind this particular R, which we are going to discuss. So first thing is how these products are being created, and once you create the products, and how it is going to be authored, and as well as what kind of tools are being available, authoring tools are being available, and which one you need to choose on it. So basically, you need to identify what kind of information you want. Accordingly, you have to go for choosing the corresponding tool. And then what are the, would you say, various multimedia authoring tools been working. Fine. So the tools by which various media components are being brought together and integrated, so into a structure and flow. So here we've seen that this particular diagram, they are trying to represent a human being, and even they are, say, the pictures, and as well as the movies, and even the animations, and the graph, and even the text content. Entire thing we are, would say, integrating and putting it in one particular tool, and we are working on it. So simple example, you can take about the website. The website consists of, you have images, then you have pictures, you have textual contents, and you have a audio, we have a video, and then we have animation, and then we have that graph, and entire thing we can incorporate it. So that is where the authoring tools are being come to play. How you can create all these content and put it in a single environment, we can work on it. So most media integration tools will take or use any one of the following metaphors. One is like a movie screen metaphor, or a slideshow metaphor, or linked screens. So one is like a movie screen, so where like a sequence, would say, flow of information which will be happening in a continuous manner, which is called continuous media, we can say. And another one is something like a slideshow metaphor. That's what currently what you're seeing. So we'll be creating as a, each and everything will be as a slide, and then one by one we can start looking to the thing. And third one is going to be a linked screen. So from one screen to another screen, they will be start linking, and then in that way we'll be moving, I would say, from source to destination. So something like your website, which is also going to be a linked screen. So one by one you can move, and then you can reach to the end. So these are the different three mechanisms being adapted for integrating your, I would say, medias. One is movie screen, second one is slideshow, and third one is going to be a linked screens. Right. So the first one, movie screen metaphor. So the movie screen metaphor, which has been adapted in the one of the famous tools, is being called as Macromedia Director, and even would say your Flash also, Macromedia Flash also. They use this particular, would say, movie screen metaphor. And here, if you've seen that the movie, which is going to refer to the product of authoring. So authoring is like either maybe a linear or it may be interactive movie. So linear is being which will be happening in a normal mode, and interactive something like I would say it is going to interact with the user and do that is going to be taken place. And which is also refers to the authoring tools paradigm that contains cast, score, and scripting. So if you see in this particular diagram, this is an example of Macromedia Director. So cast is nothing that who are all the people who are all being involved in this particular say movie which has been created. Something like say characters, and the stage where you are going to create all your scenes. And for that, say the next bottom line, if you see that this is score. So score is basically like what is the duration that is going to be get played. So each scene, how long you are going to have it, and how each scene is going to be linked on what basis, and what kind of event that you're going to perform for that particular, I would say, event is jump from one position to another location. So all those things being part of this particular, I would say, score. So here only even we'll be doing a small scripting also can be done. So where I would say it's a minimal scripting, something like a play, a start, stop. So for that, one or two lines of code you'll be writing. It's not like your say traditional code mechanism. It's just like one or two lines. That's it. Maximum you get, you go up to 2 or 3 lines only you can write the code. So you won't go beyond that. So because it's basically like a, I would say, a tool, designing tool, where we'll be designing the entire scene and then you'll be start using it. So behind all the programs are running it. So only thing is you need to choose the right option, and then you have to place the object in the right location so that you can able to create a complete movie itself using this particular would say tool, which is one of the authoring tool, which is mainly used for movie screen metaphor. And second one is a slideshow. So slideshow metaphor. So how the slideshow can be created. So where that various tools have been available, which is it's also going to be in a linear fashion. So we can able to create a linear, I would say, presentation. So example is going to be a PowerPoint. So currently what I'm using is nothing but I would say slideshow metaphor only. This is also another authoring tool where you can able to incorporate different aspects. So you can go for a plain text, or you can include an animation, you can include graphics, you can include a lot of other content also, which is very much possible. That means I can able to incorporate different medium into my presentation tool. So which is going to be a slideshow metaphor. And the third option under this is nothing but a linked screens. So a linked screen is basically something like I would say kind of a website kind of effect which you will be getting it. So each and every scene will be linked with I would say menu. So the menu can be defined according to your convenience. You can go for creating it. So this particular demo is going to be provide you the I would say this particular I would say screenshot which is being given to you is all about road safety, how the person has become need to cross the road, what are the I would say mechanism, what are things to be considered. The entire thing has been represented in this particular video. So here first one is the main, and then what's the first step and what is the second step. All those the details are being given in a linked manner. So scheme, I would say the scenes which has been created has all been linked. So this is going to be scene one, and then once you start, then it will be showing that where he is standing, and then how he's going to cross, and what are things he has to look out for it. And then after cross, I would say while crossing also what is things to be checked on it. So that is going to be a first stage, and then second stage is going to be after crossing. It's been successfully crossed the road. So it's a group of scenes are being linked together. So where that I would say another third type of I would say authoring metaphor tool which has been available, which is called linked screens. Right. So what are the advantages when you try to use your authoring tools? So most authoring tools have the following features in their development interface. So one is like a list of media events. So we can have a list of media events in that particular tool. So starting from we have a would say text, audio, video, graphics, animation, everything we can go for incorporating it. So we can mention a list. And then second one is iconic flowchart or timeline. So we can even able to provide the would say the timeline of each and everything which has been taken place, or we can have a kind of a flow chart through that we can go forward say providing that particular information. And then third one is going to be card stack. So something like card you will be placing one above the other. So card stack also you can able to create on it. So this is very much possible. So where you can have each scene you can put it in a card, and then one by one you can start say playing on it. And if you want you can do the shuffling also. It's all depends on that say applications we can go for doing it. And as well as another one is just called series of figures. So it is also like you can able to create a figure, and say series of figure you can create it, and then one by one you can start say moving, and then you can show to the user. So that is also another say interface which you can able to create on it, right? So now a list of media events. The first one, occurrence of scenes, images, sound, and action in the end product. So here, if you seen that it is going to be provide you the information how the sequence is going to be taken place. So and what are things have been incorporated in each and every scene. Those things have been, we'll say it is going to be a list of media events. So first one is we need to find out what are the occurrence of the scene, and how many images we are going to keep, and what is the sound that you're going to use it, and what is the action that you're going to take in place, I would say, to finish that say end product. So just imagine that the human beings need to cross from road from, I would say, other side uh, to the opposite side. So when you want to travel, how it is going to travel and what basis you're going to travel on it. So here you can see this is an action script. This is being called as an action script, which has been integral part of your any of the, what to say, authoring tool which you are trying to use on it. So on release, when it has been released, go and play, and we are trying to give that who is going to go and play, and what is the step mechanism being adapted. So that is what I would say action script test. So here if you see that just one line of code only they have written, just one line of code. And along with that, there are, to say, set of properties and the parameters also being there. So you can just choose a parameter, what is the width and height, and then X and Y positions, and what is the color you want, and what is the blending, to say, what you're trying to do on it. All those options you can go for adding it. So these are all the properties, and then along with that, what is the parameter that you're trying to pass, and if there is any parameter, you can pass the parameter here in a dynamic manner, or you can have a predefined parameter also you can able to pass on it. And you can see this on the stage, what are things are being adapted. So something like a sound and graphics and animations, if you're doing it, entire thing will be listed out one by one. So you can able to get that name of the particular, say, scene, what are things are being involved, and what is the type of it, whether it is a plain text, or it is a sound, or a graphics, or animation, or image, or video. Entire thing is being, say, providing the information over here in this, say, list you can able to identify. So that means basically it is trying to provide the information about what are the objects are being part of the particular media events that you're trying to create on it. So that is what it has been given. And as well as in the bottom, if you see in that, it is giving like how many scenes have been created, whether it is a single scene or it is like multiple scenes. So that information also will be given. And third scene also, it is like you can see this example. There are three scenes, right? So scene one, scene two, and scene three. So each scene, what are the components and what are the properties, all those things are being provided here. So here is basically trying to give the information about scene three, and what are the names and what are the types are being involved in that. So this is going to be a list of media events which is being taken place on the particular scene which is you are trying to create on it. And another one is we can go for creating the iconic flowchart and timeline also. So here mainly like what is the need of this flowchart or timeline? It is basically like the controls. It is basically that you are trying to create a control, and through that you can provide a kind of a restriction mechanism. So within that boundary only they can go for accessing on it. So where that flowchart or timeline is being. Timeline is basically like how long, what is the duration that you're going to play on it. So that is what that say timeline is being come into play. So flowchart is nothing but a sequence of action which is being going to be taken place. Either you can call it as a flowchart, or you can give it as a timeline. And so third one is going to be card stack, just tabs. Easy viewing if there is too many items on the screen. So just imagine there are too many players are on the screens, and if you want to know that who are all there individually, if you want to look out for it, where you can use the card stack mechanism, and through that each and every timeline who are all there, you can able to look into that individually. It's very much possible. Otherwise, if the too many things are there in the screen, too many items are there in the screen, so which may not be visible to you. So you will not be able to notice the entire thing. So if you want to note the minute things also a part of your screen, there you can go for this card stack mechanism, and through that we can able to view the individual aspects of it. So that is where that third advantage when you go for using this particular one of the advantages thing which has been called as a card stack. And the fourth one is going to be series of figures. So where would say list of images and objects in the project. So how many would say what are the images that you're trying to use on it, or what are the images that you're sorry, what are the objects that you're trying to use it in your project, so that you can have a list, and as well as information about each and everything also. You can able to provide each and everything which has been incorporated in your animation, where you can provide the information on it. So that is would say that is another advantage, because once you click on that particular I would say object, which is going to provide you that properties and then parameters, and it will be providing the background color and font size, and even what type of action is being taken, if there is any action script has been applied for that, those information also. Along with that, it is going to provide you that properties also on the right hand side. So many information you can able to get about that particular say single image or an object. So that is where that say authoring tool is being playing a vital role, so that you can able to know each and every aspects of say that particular object is being created in the uh, scene. Right. Now, what are the categories of authoring tools? What are the different categories which has been part of your authoring tool? So it's been categorized into three different, would say, categories. One is like a presentation software, and second one is the tools for creating production, and third one is going to be interactive training and education. So these are the three categories, and some authoring tools can put into one or more, would say, more than one category also. So first one is going to be presentation software. So presentation software is basically, we'll say, uh, your PowerPoint only is one of the basic mechanisms being adapted in the industry, and through that we can go for, we'll say, providing the information or sharing the information to the users. So enable the users to create and deliver business presentation in the form of slideshow. So basically, like they want to project out their business information to the higher authorities, or it may be to the common people, or maybe to somebody else. So where they can use this particular presentation, to say, software, and through that they can go for projecting out their information. And each major headings in the is the beginning of the new slide. So each major heading, what they're doing it, they put it in a new slide, and then they are would say providing that particular information to the user. So that is where that presentation software will come into play. And the presentation software are being using templates. So the templates are being used to determine how the heads and subheads are being formatted and displayed over the background. So which include position, size, font, style, and color. So these are the aspects become most essential part of any of the presentation that you are trying to do on it. So any presentation software, it may be a PowerPoint, or it may be a Open Office, or it may be even say Google say Docs, anything. If you're a Google presentation, if you're trying to use on it, where they are adapting the basic mechanism, which is nothing but template, they'll be creating it. So template is nothing that which will contain what do you say formatted information, which will be providing to you with the basic what do you say stuff. And based on your need, you can go for customizing it, you can go for positioning it, you can resize it, and you can change the font, and as it was, you can change the style, even the color also can able to change on it. So which is very much possible. So one of the main tools which has been adopted in the market, which is nothing but PowerPoint, and through that only many other people are doing their presentation. So including the business presentations, which is all happening through your PPTs only. So this is an example for the PowerPoint interface. So you can see that format. When you go for a format where they'll be, I would say, providing that style and format. So where you can find out whenever you're going for creating a new style, there will be an auto layout. So choose an auto layout, which is nothing but a template. So the template which will contain only, you can see this is the first one, which is indicating that you have a main text and the subheading. And here you have a heading, and then along with the bullet points you can present on it. Or if you want the 2-column bullet points, you can use it. Or if you want the tabular column to be represented, you can use this. Or if you want the graph to be added, you can use this. Or only the organization chart, if you want to use it, you can use this format. Or if you want that images and other object that to be incorporated, then you can use it. Or if you doesn't want anything, if you want to make it as a blank one, you can, that also you can use it. So this is all like a template. And there in the template, once you go for it, it has a text color, font size, background color, all those things are comes under formatting. Using formatting, there'll be a default setting will be there, and if you want to go for customizing it, you can do the customization, which is also very much possible. So it's a kind of interface between given to the user, and through that they can go for doing a lot of changes, and then they can project out the information to the business people. And the second one is, which is nothing but the tools which is being used for production. So production is mainly for what say manufacturing. So where how these tools are being going to play a vital role. So the typically which is oriented towards producing contents that is more ambitious than the slideshow level. So instead of just slideshow, which is basically like you are going to give the glimpse of whatever being part of that. So instead of that, would say if you want to have would say kind of information which need to be needed and essential, the complete detail that need to be given to the user. So those kind of scenarios where instead of going for a presentation software, we can go for creating a production software. So what is a production software? Usually that which is going to integrate all types of media data into a multi-track timeline that determines evaluation of events. So they are putting in a, how to say, uh, in a multi-track timeline determines. So based on that, the corresponding events are going to be get placed. So and again, one more thing, if you've seen that is going also going to be an interactive one. So interactivity tasks to form the conditional branching that can make navigation decisions based on the user input and other conditions. So here, if you're seeing that, it's basically nothing that production tool. So where you are, I would say, trying to simulate that particular environment which is currently happening, and which is going to provide you the complete, I would say, up-to-date information about what is the production stage and how many products are being created and what is it undergoing and what does need to be get delivered and what has been already delivered. All those things you can able to get on it using this particular production tool. And if you've seen that the production software has been created a dynamic content, one is like Mtropolis and Apple Media or Media Forge. So these are all the tools which has been adapted mainly for, we say, dynamic content. If you for all, if you want to go for a dynamic content to be created, it will be varying in say nature. So every now and then the data will be get vary. So those kind of scenarios where we can go for using this particular production softwares. So the last category, which is called interactive training and education tools. So in this interactive training and education tools, where mainly it has been used for, say, education industries, where this particular tool has been adapted. So this is mainly to create a education or training content. So basically, like if you want to have a lecture contents, or if you want to go for creating the lecture videos, currently which I'm recording it, right? So these are all kind of things if you want to do on it, where this particular tool has been adapted. So which is mainly designed primarily to present the information in an interactive book, and multimedia oriented programming languages such as Visual Basic to represent another authoring in the alternative, even which offers high flexibility, performance, and speed and power. So example, something like a Macromedia Flash or Authorware or a Director also, which you can use on it. So again, here, instead of just giving us a plain text, or instead of going for some images, if you want to have some animation, graphics, and through an interactive manner, if you want to give it to the user, where you can go with a different kind of tool which has been available, and through that we can make it as more interactive. Maybe I can give an example, which we have done it, I would say, in the year 2009. So in our campus, the NAC peer team, they visited. So for that, we want to have a presentation to the NAC peer team from our department, especially from the, would say, computer science department, PG department. We want to have a presentation, and we need to project out to the NAC peer team, and we want to make them to be impressed. So for that, what we have done is we have created a, would say, a Flash book. So in this Flash, using Flash, we have created a book kind of, I would say, structure, where when you open the book, it will be, I would say, projecting out the information, starting from the welcome to the department, and then it will be providing the details about, I would say, the department, when it is started, when it is inserted, and all those information. And then along with that, the achievements of the department with the various images, and even we incorporated audio and video also. So that is in a kind of an interactive, I would say, thing which is incorporated in Macromedia Flash. We have created that particular, I would say, book, and which we have shown to the, I would say, NACPIA team, and they got impressed because they didn't see that first time. They have seen that particular, because we created in the year 2009 itself. So almost, I would say, 10 years back, which we created, and we have shown to them. So where we can we project out our content. So especially our department details we have project out to the users. So they were really impressed, and they appreciated a lot. So like that, those who want to present their content, So, or they want to do kind of a training to the users where they can use the tools, something like a Flash or maybe Authorware or Director, or even nowadays Adobe is being there. So Adobe, we have that Adobe, various tools have been available. So using those tools, they can go for, say, creating the content, and then they can, say, use to the, they can give it to the user so that they can do on it. And as well as we can use that Visual Studio also. So it's another thing where through that also we can go for creating the interactive training, say, to the users, which is very much possible. So this is a third type of, let's say, uh, authoring tools which has been available in the market. And so the next set of things, something like how the Flash interface will be working on it. So that we'll be having discussion during the next class.